Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Tai Emeka, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms, and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo. Greetings, and salutations. Welcome. This is the Divine Prince with another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo, Secrets and Recipes. You are now listening live and always an archive at your leisure and convenience to the Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, broadcasting live from this beautiful, historic, legendary, and enchanted city of New Orleans, Louisiana, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, universal, healing, and holistic, evolutionary, and revolutionary from a Pan-African hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. I would also like to welcome my beloved co-host, Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez. Come on in. Welcome, beloved. How you doing?
I'm doing good, beloved. Peace and blessings to everybody in the listening area. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You know how I'm doing. I'm exhausted. I've been running all day. It is St. Joe night. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, St. Joseph is, typically considered a Catholic saint and a Catholic holiday, I believe created by the Italians during a great famine. But it is also the night that masking Mardi Gras Indians come out after dark on the street in suit for a little Indian warfare, mock warfare, and demonstration, if you will. So I've been out in the street, came home, had barely 15 minutes to get it together, got in suit, and I went on out into the neighborhood right here in 6th Ward, 7th Ward, Treme, between Dumaine Street and St. Philip. Certainly there are other Indians out. I did see Shaka and his gang out there. There was another gang out there. I believe it was Black Mohawk hunters were out there, and they had it. It was a little hot out there tonight. It had quite a crowd. The Indians were just a tad bit aggressive, but it was a successful St. Joe, and I'm just glad to have made another year. The next time that we will be in suit will be downtown Super Sunday. Locals know Uptown Super Sunday was just this past Sunday, and then downtown Super Sunday will fall sometime, I believe, in mid-April. So moving right along, we have two filming crews here, and then the Horn Brothers will be returning in a little less than a week. So my schedule is overwhelming right now, and it's not a complaint. It's truly a blessing. Um, I move in gratitude to be able to do what I do and live the way that I live at 58 years old. And so I show nothing but gratitude and honor to the Most High and the ancestors for indeed creating me and allowing me the privilege to live the life that I live in honor of culture, ancestors, uh, New Orleans culture, Louisiana culture, and certainly Pan African culture throughout the diaspora. We are indeed preparing for our second annual National New Orleans Voodoo Day. On April 4th will be our press conference at Cafe Istanbul. On April 5th will be our symposium held at Xavier University. This will be a panel symposium of academics as it relates to
You went out, Frank.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now much better.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I got Wi-Fi. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I got Wi-Fi today. And everything looks good on this end. So thanks for letting me know. I'm not sure what may have happened, but thanks for keeping me posted. Yeah, there will be a Afro ecological show along with a voodoo art display as well. I will be displaying some pieces from West Africa as well as many local and international artists will also be displaying art during the symposium at Xavier University on April 5th. And our beloved mother and elder um, Camille will be holding I believe it's an Afro dance workshop for the children in the children's section of the symposium. And I believe that's from 10:30 to 1. But the actual symposium will be from 9 to 5. It's a family friendly gathering, students, alumni, parents, friends, and certainly the children are all welcome to come and be a part and participate in this great event. We will have a delegation from Haiti, from Ouida, Benin, and from out the Pan African diaspora will be present at Xavier University, as well as on Sunday, April 6th, my beloved sister Wapani's birthday. We will begin at the river, at the moonwalk at the river, where we will have a powerful libation and ceremony conducted by Sister Storyteller Denise Augustine. We will then process through the French Quarter to historic landmarks that relate to the Middle Passage, the slave trade, and the history of our people here in the city. We will, I believe, make our way to St. Augustine Church, the tomb of the unknown slave, and then into Congo Square, where you will meet me at the gate of the Voodoo ceremony, as well as at the great ancestral tree. I will be conducting an ancestral ceremony and opening for our Voodoo celebration and ceremony. It will be a authentic Voodoo ceremony. And this is important for us because we want to continue to dispel the ideas of witchcraft and black magic and cartoons and horror movies as it relates to what voodoo truly indeed is. So to be able to conduct such a sacred ceremony with a delegation from Haiti, led by Mami Mamuna from Haiti, also initiated in West Africa. She will be leading along with other priests from here in town. Myself, Lilith Dorsey, and other practitioners will also be conducting the ceremony. And then the delegation from Ouida, Benin, will also be assisting in the conduction of the ceremony and will be presenting a very powerful closing for us where we will sign the official sister city agreement between New Orleans and Ouida, Benin to ensure a healthy, vibrant relationship from here on, but also the continuation of such a powerful event, Voodoo Day or National Voodoo Day. Voodoo Day is held January 10th annually in Ouida, Benin, and certainly we like to match that date as close as possible here in New Orleans. But due to this year's what do you call that football game, the Super Bowl? Okay, the Super Bowl being held here in the city, we had to change the date up to April 5th and April 6th. So we certainly invite your participation and your support Please do come out, practitioners of all shapes and sizes, ATR, Aboriginal African Traditional Religious Systems, Lukumi, Santeria, Isheshe, Nago, Voodoo, 12 Divisiones. We invite you all to come out and be a part of this ceremony. Greetings, beloved. Segun Williams, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Greetings, D Goddess. Supreme blessings to you and yours. The Alchemists, we certainly appreciate your continued support and participation. And Daniel Neal, thank you for being first in the room tonight as a continuing listener and participant in this powerful platform. And certainly, Segun, I'm offering you a personal invitation to you and yours to please come out to the Xavier University on the 5th for our symposium, and then to the Moonwalk on April 6th, where we will begin the procession to Congo Square and then conduct our second annual National New Orleans Voodoo Day. Celebrate voodoo, build community, support healing, be a part of something bigger. New Orleans National Voodoo Day is more than an event. It's a chance to celebrate cultural heritage, build community, and foster healing. Your tax deductible donations and sponsorships help us honor history while driving economic growth. Let's create a richer, stronger New Orleans together. You can visit us for information at www.voodooday.org. Again, it's www.voodooday.org, and we spell it the Haitian Creole way, the French way, VODOUDAY.org for more details about sponsorship, participation, and just coming and being a part of this great and powerful event. We can't be more excited. We have the support of the mayor, the city council, the state of Louisiana, and certainly the governments and voodoo communities of both Haiti and Ouida, Benin. This is long coming, and we had some opposition early on in the development of this sacred ceremony. But indeed, this is a sacred ceremony. It is a spiritual space. It is open to all who seek to operate and move in the spirit of our ancestors and indeed our destinies as written by the Most High. So we invite each and every one of you to please come out and be a part of this powerful event. Again, it's a lot going on. We are filming right now for a German documentary. It's actually a docu series, I believe, of 4 parts, and it's about magic and spirituality all over the world. But here it will specifically light on Louisiana voodoo, New Orleans spirituality and voodoo practice. We are going to cover again the story of Aunt Julia Brown. So I'll take a deep boat ride into the swamps once again for this production. And then we will be filming a portion of National New Orleans Voodoo Day also to complement this team. The Horn Brothers will also be back in the continued filming of my personal show, for which I am a executive producer of Respect the Voodoo, which will be coming and airing at a network near you very soon. We are still developing more episodes for our coming broadcast. And again, we appreciate all the love and support and community that we've found in doing so. They were here, as many of you remember, for 3 weeks leading up to almost a month, really, leading up to Mardi Gras Day and then the week after Mardi Gras Day. And we had the opportunity to speak with many elders, leaders, cultural representatives, cultural ambassadors in the community, organizations. And we're still looking to tell your story. If you are indeed a culture bearer, skull and bone, baby doll, masking Mardi Gras Indian, drummer, dancer, performer as it relates to voodoo or African spirituality and tradition, please contact me by way of my website, www.houseofthedivineprince.com. Also by way of email at divineprince. That's divineprince at houseofthedivineprince.com. I can also be reached at thedivineprince at gmail.com. We certainly would like to tell your story and capture your experience as it relates to voodoo worldwide and voodoo in your world. And I'm offering now for the first time ever. So please like, share, recirculate this video. I will be offering extremely reduced donations for those who seek to come into the house for readings, work, divination during the time that we are filming. So, in exchange for filming, you signing an agreement that you are, um, giving your permission to be filmed. I'm also offering really reduced opportunities to come in to the house so that you too can be a part of this powerful production that we are working on today. And as I've been talking about now for 6 years, our next stop is Brazil, and then the third component is Ouida, Benin, to bring the story to its full triangular manifestation. All of us who are descendants, products of this great, what they call triangular marketing pathway from Europe to Africa to the Americas and back. We want to reverse that. We want to bury that. We want to bind that and reaffirm that triangular route for voodoo and certainly ATR and all of its uh, global manifestations in the Pan African diaspora. So I'm really excited. No matter how much I complain about being tired and exhausted, I would rather be tired and exhausted, in the service of the community and the ancestors than, being locked into the system, punching a clock, feeding someone else's dreams and goals, while we still wait for our opportunity to be heard, our moment to be heard. And there's no more powerful moment than now. The world is shifting literally before our eyes in many ways that could not even be predicted. And the falling away from organized, oppressive world religions is great, cannot be overstated, and cannot be ignored or overlooked. And particularly here in the US, many are seeking Aboriginal connections, indigenous connections, something outside the triangular religious uh, uh, government of Christianity, Islam, Judaism that have dominated for what 2,000 years. So it is our time. It is indeed our season. We are wanting to promote houses. We are wanting to promote practitioners all over the diaspora to give us voice, to give us presence, to give us visibility, and to ensure that we are being taken seriously. I have long tired and given up really on arguing the shenanigans that I see every day in social media. And many of you see it and are exposed to it as well. If it's not showing up uninvited, in your DMs and in your instant messages, suggesting they have a word for you or the ancestors, want them to do some work for you. There's certainly all the perpetrators of the practice of various uh, um, branches of the practice that we are also having to endure, block, swipe left, as it relates to social media. So we certainly need, as Maceo stressed, I believe in our last episode, we need our own voice. We need our own cinema. We need our own documentaries. And certainly I've done many documentaries, 7 documentaries for mainstream media, um, local networks, as well as international cable and TV networks. But we need to continue to build our own media, our own journalists, our own way of communicating this information and this entertainment to ourselves and to the rest of the world. While we support buying black and support, the growth of black economics, I, for one, believe it cannot be and will not last without a reworking of our minds. I had to prevent myself from saying a renewal, and
Oh, you gone out again? You gone out again, and when you come back in, I have a question.
because of you, I do this for you. I don't particularly care to hear the sound of my own voice every day. And so I created this space for Natural New Orleans Voodoo Day, as well as our extended community to come and share, to question, to criticize, to expose, but to again re-educate ourselves and those who are watching and listening. Many people are watching and listening and never make their way into this chat box. Many people are watching and listening by way of various social media outlets: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, um, my EarthCam page, my website, and as well as you all's locations where you are sharing this and reposting the URL. So we are definitely affecting friends, family, community, strangers in ways that I think many of you might underestimate. And as D Goddess says, no one can tell our story but us. I'm grateful for the book authors, the book writers, of which there have been many that have included my name, that have included my work.
And we have to save those books. We have to take a page out of history. When Hitler was marching across Europe and the cities knew he was coming, they took and hid their most valuable artifacts because the German army was even stealing it or destroying it. And I see a pattern right now that's really bad and getting really, really bad. Um, the Tangerine Tyrant is about to sign some papers tonight, getting rid of the Department of Education and turning that over to the states. Well, we had a problem with that before. That's why we had to get a federal Department of Education. Um, the South's public schools are going to be messed up very bad. There's already a program called LA Gators that will be giving out vouchers for private schools to a select number of people, and I emphasize selects. Um, Removing them from the public school system and placing them in private schools per quote unquote scholarships. Um, so that's going to leave the school systems all over the United States because each state will be responsible for their own education, what books they can buy, what books they can accept, what's printed in those books. And they are literally rewriting history. And you know who they're writing out of history. One book that is in use now said that the Africans came to the Americas looking for work to better their living conditions. That was in regards to the slave trade, why they came here on the boats. A lot of other things will be omitted. We must now start collecting the books if you have the space. Get a trunk, put some cedar wood in a trunk, any kind of trunk, and start collecting as many books as you can until this era in our history is past, because they're going to be destroying them. They're going to be destroying them. Our president has also removed the signs that has also put back in place where contractors, federal contractors, can now use segregated restrooms, lunchrooms, bathrooms, and we going through a repeat of history. And if you know history, a rose is still a rose, and you can see it when it's blooming again. And we are already in it. It's blooming again. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. I had to mute you. I mute my mic when you're talking.
Oh, okay. But yeah, we living in a very serious time right now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start gathering our valuables, which is our history,
Mm-hmm.
our artifacts. He's already taken away federal monies from museums, which house a lot of our artifacts.
Yes.
He's erasing first the military history. Um, he just erased Jackie Robinson, the legendary Jackie Robinson's military history. And they keep saying he can't do it, he can't do it, but yet and still he's doing it, and people are removing what he's asking to be removed, and no one is saying stop right now, stop it. Democrats is crickets, and even some Republicans are not agreeing with what he's doing, but they're apparently afraid to challenge him and must.
Yeah, that's right. It's a big deal. And not only do we need to conserve, our story and our history, but we also need to begin to sort of return to some of the ways of our ancestors. And I don't mean 200 years ago. I mean our grandparents and great grandparents of just 100 years ago or so, in terms of growing our own food again, maintaining gardens again, fishing, and then building co-ops to share, that product within the dynamics of the community. I feel blessed to some degree to live in the South. Uh, we have access to local farms. We have access to fishermen who, bring product right into the community sometimes in an ice chest, straight from the waters. But that's not always available, and particularly in these major cities. So we've really got to begin to reorganize the way we did in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s to ensure that we have the resources that we need for survival. And as we continue these boycotts, which I'm hearing have been really successful, I think Target is headed to bankruptcy as we speak. But again, we need to also create, while we're boycotting, create a chain for gaining resources within our communities so that we don't have to return to the system, support the system, and support, Walmart. There was a discussion on TikTok today, and I was listening to, and people were talking about Target, being closed, and so where they going to shop now, and we started discussing the, well-oiled plan that Walmart put into place, shutting down all these mom and pop stores, these local hardware stores, these local craft shops. There's another mainstream crafting sewing store, I believe it's Ashley's, that's now in bankruptcy and is shutting down. So we've got to create again for ourselves, make again for ourselves, cook and produce again for ourselves, and share that with each other and within our community so that we aren't stuck in the case of another crisis. Please, if we didn't learn anything from the COVID shutdown, that should have been, a part of that learning process. What do we do in the event of a lack of power, a lack of water, a lack of food trucks moving, a lack of, toilet paper and supplies on the store shelves? We've got to really begin to think those things through and plan those things out. I often remember and reminisce on the summer of Hurricane Katrina, not long after Black Carnival Indian, Black Masking Indian Tootie Montana died in City Council. Tony Val and I started having these really elaborate conversations about survival. What would we eat? How would we cook it? How would we catch it? And certainly we were having fun at the time, and no one saw Hurricane Katrina coming. But those are the type of conversations that you and your family, you and your friends really must begin to have. If we're in a crisis, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are you saving? What are you storing? I have members of my family who have 2 or 3 years of food stockpiled, 2 or 3 years of wood for heat and fuel stockpiled, had water tanks built underground so that they could, store their own well water, solar panels. Again, reminding of the advancements in technology that are available to us. I think here in New Orleans, it's probably pretty common for people to have generators, more than one kind, more than one type, because we're subject to losing power frequently, sometimes once or twice a month. Sometimes we don't have access to our clean water, once or twice a month. Uh, oh my goodness, may the ancestors bless New Orleans East. I mean, don't they have a water crisis every other week in New Orleans East?
Yeah, they have one right now, actually.
So we've got to stop relying on the system. We got to stop relying on plastic bottled water. That's another thing. They're demonstrating now that we've got this floating plastic, microplastics in our food, in our bodies. So I don't use plastic for the most part at all. I avoid plastic like the plague. I have glass water jugs like you used to see in the offices back in the day. And every time somebody come in my house and see it, they're shocked that they're even still available, and they are. You can often find these items on Amazon, which is where I found the glass bottles, and I bought plenty when I found them to store water.
And you also don't need to get the electric dispenser for those 5 gallons and 2 gallon glass bottles of water. There is a pump you can purchase
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
goes directly into it, that you screw it on every time you open one, so you can hand pump the water out of the
Yeah.
water jug. And when you say Katrina, I ended up, as you know, being in Katrina and having control of a 3-story apartment complex because nobody evacuated except my daughter in the complex for Katrina. there was a store on the corner that they were looting, and some of the young men in my apartment complex were there looting, and they were only looting like cigarettes and alcohol. I had to take control and say, y'all about to be teams. I want y'all to all go in there, get all the charcoal, the lighter fluid, the toilet paper, the plastic bags. I had teams on, y'all get this, y'all get that, y'all get this. Kick down the vacant apartment doors, fill up the bathtubs with water, the water about to go out. And basically, they didn't know what to do. They were sitting on the porch, just sitting outside doing nothing but drinking the liquor they looted. Even the older tenants of the apartment building. You
And
know, I'm like,
waiting on help
no.
in many cases didn't come.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Help didn't come.
yeah,
You
by
know,
that.
I sent a group of guys. We had an elderly gentleman who was really sick and needed to be in the hospital. I sent 3 guys out in the water to go look for somebody with a boat to get him out of the apartment. Luckily in the 7th ward, between North Durgeon Ward and by Calarac, behind Club Caribbean, for those of that know New Orleans, that was high ground, and the water didn't come up into the houses. But I had, you have to know, and I know from my elderly parents what to do from being hunting and fishing. You know, I was like, we're not gonna be able to flush toilets. Get plastic bags and put them over the toilet when the last water's gone. So when you use them, you can tie them up when they get full. These are conditions you'll be in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them away from the area because that breeds sickness. And if
And you
we
might,
hear,
no, I was going to say, you might think it goes without saying, but one most important critical thing was community. Community. And I
yeah,
know from my experience in living in these big cities, y'all don't know your neighbors. You live in a huge apartment building, you don't know nobody's name. You don't know who you can turn to in the event of a calamity. And that became very important for us during Katrina.
yeah, because at least when Katrina aftermath came, we knew our neighbors. Now we don't, but then we knew our neighbors. We knew our neighborhoods
Mm-hmm.
in and out because we often went out into our neighborhoods on a daily basis for blocks, for walking for blocks.
Oh, yeah.
But now you see the people pull up to their house, go in their house and stay in their house until it's time to go to work or go to school. You don't know who. Right now, where I live at, I only know the name of my neighbor across the street. And
Yes,
I stay
indeed.
kind of in the middle of the block, of a long block. And I only know one of my neighbors' names. I don't know the people that stay on the left of me or the people that stay on the right of me or the people on that side. Don't know nobody.
Yeah, I know every house on my block and
N-
quite a few in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but not me. I mean, the people, they older, they don't talk. You know, I peeped out the neighborhood, and of course, I made friends with the guy that I personally saw with my own eyes because he outside all the time, had the most guns.
Yeah, indeed. And that's interesting about those older people because we certainly knew who they were, but we went looking for them in subsequent disasters that we've had. The hurricane we had maybe 4 years ago, and some.
Ida,
And so, these people can't get out. Somebody got to bring them water. Somebody has to bring them resources, when the power's out or when the neighborhood is flooded. So, yeah, I know it can be a challenge today, but we've got to make more of an effort to get to know who's living to your left or the right who's living across the street. Now, it don't mean y'all got to sit and barbecue every weekend and play cards, but you
No.
know who's around, who's near you, for good and for evil. You know,
Yeah.
I want to know who to avoid if we were indeed in a calamity. But you
Yeah.
can't do that if you don't make any effort to find out who's who in your community. I've gotten involved in many organizations post Katrina, Waterwise, which deals specifically with flooding events and how to mitigate those events in our community, and then create a plan of action for other communities to address global change, weather change, climate change, and flooding. SOS, which our main purpose was to conserve the history of Treme, particularly Armstrong Park and Congo Square, um, um, and certainly NONVD, which is now more of a spiritual community, social organization. But we've got to get over our fear of each other, and figure out who our neighbors are, and fit in these communities where we can, and fulfill the needs where we can.
And a lot of times in a time of crisis, you'll be surprised who will cooperate. During Katrina, where I was well known in my community, Sister Tony, but I had this group of, let's call them young thugs,
Okay.
and all I had to do was tell them, you need to do this. I need y'all two to do this, and this. And was it never a back talk? Was it never a word? They came back. We did it. We did it. I was like, good, good. Now take a rest. I need you to do this.
Hmm.
You know, somebody got to stand watch, because it's always going to be some bad elements.
Oh yeah.
You
And it's
got to stand watch. They pretty much done seen all the stuff out the stove come to this apartment building.
hmm
I need y'all on the balconies at night.
so someone has to take the lead. Someone has to sometimes organize and give instruction.
Yes,
Sometimes they just don't know what to do, and they need somebody to tell them.
and in order for somebody to take the lead, somebody needs to know what to do. In a time when the city had no power, we had television. A lot of them didn't know that you can run a box fan or one of them small televisions like the security guards used to have,
Yeah.
radio TV, off of a car battery by taking off the plug and stripping back the cars and wrapping them around. So car batteries are good for powering small appliances.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's going to be a lot of cars not going nowhere. We had at least 8 in our parking lot that wasn't in the water, that wasn't going nowhere. Let's get those batteries up.
And even if they could go somewhere, there was no power, so there were no gas stations open.
No, and the water was too deep. Once you got off our block, you went down in the bowl. You went down in the bowl.
Yes.
So, I mean, learn survival skills. Get a survivalist book, a book living off the grid. Add that to your library as soon as possible.
Hmm.
Those books have great information, and it's not with everyday simple things that you already have in your house. You be surprised what those things can do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Prepare yourself, everyone in our listening range, prepare yourself to be a leader in a time of emergency.
And if you want to be a good practitioner, you should develop a green thumb. Voodoo is nature. Ifa is nature. Santeria, Lukumi, Kandable is nature. And one of the things I appreciate about the practice is our connection to the earth, to nature, to gardening, to what's edible, what's poisonous, what's healing and holistic, and how to use those things. Um, as Tony just suggested, you'd be surprised how many people came to my door as well during Hurricane Katrina because they knew I had resources. And at no time did I feel threatened or in danger because I had resources. And I pretty much gave what I had, for the benefit of us all, for our survival. Candles. Some of you keep candles. I keep candles. Um, my whole house was lit up 4 days after all the power was out in the city. Oil lamps and certainly generators. There are all sorts of new generators, solar powered devices, solar powered generators. There's a folding solar panel that you can buy off Amazon and connect it to a battery pack and charge all your devices and power some of your electronics. So, by all means, be prepared, get prepared. Don't wait until the calamity happens to then try and figure out, what we're going to do, how we're going to survive. Use your imagination, be creative, start imagining that scenario, and then come up with, resolution and answers to how you would mitigate such a calamity with what you have, and begin, purchasing, little items that can help you to survive. Um, in the case where we certainly are going to need that.
I got a bug out bag. I keep ready. It's ready right now. It's
Oh
ready
yeah,
right now. Batteries, transistor radio, solar power, phone chargers. Um, just get a bug out bag ready.
oh yeah.
Towels, aspirin, pain pills, band-aid. It got to be a bug out bag, a nice backpack, so your hands are free.
That's right. And
Important
depending on,
papers
yes, and
in
waterproof.
plastic.
Yeah.
In case the bag you get caught in the rain, try to get a waterproof one. This is a serious conversation. I mean, the protest that the media, the mainstream media, is not reporting on. They got whole Tesla dealerships being Mazel Tov cocktail on fire, burning, and Musk gonna sit up there and say he don't know why this is happening. It just goes to show the level of hate people have. I'm like, you reaping what you sowed. Those
Hmm.
people going after you because of the hate you've shown coming into this country and taking it over with your muskrats and cutting out veterans, cutting out all the services. You know, it's getting rough. It's getting
Yeah.
very rough.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And then earlier today, I found out the United States government, the Tangerine Tyrant, sent out an edit to the Caribbean islands, Jamaica and all those Caribbean islands, that they are to remove all Cuban doctors from their hospitals. All Cuban doctors from the hospital. I'm like, now why is he messing with Cuba? And I thought Cuba and Russia were friends. Why he messing with Putin friends? And he said if they don't get rid of them in a allotted amount of days, that the visas of the people on those islands that's in the United States will be revoked.
Yeah, he's just out of control. And like you said, everybody's complaining, but no one seems to be doing anything.
Anyone who can do something is not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody but people who don't follow international news know Cuba has the best doctors, some of the best doctors in the world. Their doctors are everywhere except the United States. But for him to say he's going to revoke the visas of the people that's in the United States going to school, have children here going to school, a lot of the wealthier people on the islands who have children in the United States, to revoke their visas, that's bullying. That's hostage taking.
Move, under duress, uh, and begin to answer those questions so that you're not caught off guard when it happens. We also talked about beginning to arm and protect our communities again, much like the Black Panthers did, much like the FOI has done in the 80s in some large cities. We've just gotten tired of not feeling safe or secure with the local police force in certain regions of the country, certain states and cities of the country. And so people are beginning to organize again to protect themselves and their neighborhoods and their communities. There's
Well,
something for all of us to do.
we saw what happened during the emergency of Katrina. The police abandoned us.
Sure did. I saw it with
They
my own eyes.
abandoned us and became thugs.
Yes, indeed. Again, I witnessed it with my own eyes.
Me too.
Okay. I saw police in my neighborhood loading all their weapons, family and children and wives, into their cars. And we asked, what's going on? Where y'all going? And they were abandoning the city. Now, that's not a rumor. That's been proven, that many abandoned the city. And then when she talks about criminality, shooting innocent people, certainly that happened, particularly on the Danziger Bridge.
Yes.
But it is said that it was the police that broke into the Walmart down there on Chapatulas and removed all the weapons and ammo from that Walmart. Um, and then that led to the rest of the store being looted by the community that lived in proximity at that time.
They stole the cars from the dealerships. Cars were recovered in Florida, Alabama, Atlanta. The new cars off the dealership. I think that's why they don't keep gas in them no more now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And then they tried to take that one young man to jail for commandeering a school bus, or was it a city bus,
No, it was a school bus.
and getting people out of the city, getting people
He hit
evacuated.
the highway, picking up people like he was a city bus. But yeah, we coming into some serious times. Practitioners need to get all their equipment that they need, if they can afford it, anything that they feel they'll need to bug in. You got bug out, which means you're leaving. Bug in means you're staying where you are, and you need to have all your supplies there.
Hmm. And where I first heard or learned that concept, um, the bug out, was in California. When I lived in California in the 80s, the local news encouraged you to create a bag and escape plan in the event of earthquakes. So it
Yeah.
was my first really exposure as an adult to even the idea of planning for calamity. And certainly after I read Octavia Butler's book, Parable of the Sower, oh my goodness, I knew then that I had to move. That was number one. And two, be prepared for whatever may be coming. Um, Alchemist, I've tried olive oil, and I found that olive oil, if it's allowed to sit, will get thick, really thick and sticky. And if you spill it on anything on the floor, it's really hard to get up. And so I found that my oil lamps would not stay lit either. I did try peanut oil. I found a little bit better response from from peanut oil. Greetings, Erica. Oh, we certainly appreciate you. She says pure olive oil should work fine. We'd be curious to know if you've actually done that, and if so, how did you mitigate, the fact that the wick keeps going out, or was that even an issue for you? Um, I thought maybe it was the thickness of the wick. And so maybe the thicker the wick, the better quality wicks might not allow that oil to sort of draw up and sit in the wick uh, correctly to keep it burning. But it's an issue that I haven't figured out. So I've been using, unfortunately, lamp oil because it's available. It's not necessarily economically feasible, but because it's available. But there has to be a way. I know in Voodoo we use olive oil and cotton balls and orange peel. And it tends to burn. I get them to light. They last. They burn through. So I'm not quite sure what it is. If it's the amount of oil, if it's the size of the oil lamp, if it's the quality and texture of the wicks that we're using. But if anyone under the sound of our listening and voice can submit a response to that, during the podcast or even in writing by email, I will be more than happy to address that question again in coming shows. Certainly, I would prefer oil lamps to the candle wax just for the economy, just for the cost of it all.
And the least thought about of the candles is the tea light candles. Tea
Hmm.
light candles, there are some that can even burn up to 7 hours. And tea light candles, when you have the thin pot, the tin, what we call a saucepan, the little thin pot, if you put the tea light in a muffin pan and light them, you can put a pot on top of that and burn water to make tea, to burn water in case you have to burn water to drink it. I mean, it'll be a tedious thing, but it can be done. And tea lights don't take up a lot of space. I've
Hmm.
got tea lights galore because if you sit one in front of a mirror in your bedroom, the reflection will light up your whole room.
Yes, yes.
One tea light.
And tea lights can provide a certain amount of heat too if you use them right. And when I mean right, know how to use them. Clay flower pots, small clay flower pots, and line one with aluminum foil and put a tea light in it, and then put another pot over it with a hole in it, and you will find that it will produce heat. It will draw heat, and it's something about that clay pot that absorbs that heat, that amplifies that heat somehow. So be careful with that. But that's something that I've tried, in the most desperate of circumstances, and it will produce a certain amount of heat in an enclosed space.
Yes, yes. But we got to get ready. It's better to be safe than sorry. So, you know, look it up now, write it down if you can't afford the book, but find what you need to bug in or bug out during these 4 years.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we've reached the end of our show. It is 10 o'clock. I'm not going to go over tonight. As I told you at the top of the show, I'm exhausted. But I certainly look forward to meeting you here again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, powered by NONVD, New Orleans National Voodoo Day. You still have time to get your travel plans together, your housing plans in place. The events are free. We will be offering a ticketed live streaming during the symposium and during the actual voodoo ceremony on April 6th. But for those of you who can come into the city, this is a free family friendly event, and we invite you to get your plans together. You still have time. Visit us at www.vodouday.org. Again, that's www.voodooday.org. VODOUDAY.org. And I look forward to sitting here with you again on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Thank you so much, Sister Tony Val. Thank you to everyone in the live chat. We certainly appreciate you. And we look forward to being here tomorrow.
Alafia.
Good night. Good night, all. O double. Bonsoir.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in it.
So, knowing what you know now, would you still get cursed?
I'm seeking out a curse, a hex, to put on myself.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God's real.
He could curse you with stupidity, but we think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's the power you're calling on. The devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Wyong is pretty much the epicenter of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.